I decided to play old school RuneScape for the first time, and here's how it went. Well, that first statement is a lie, because back when I was a wee little duckling, I did actually play RuneScape round my friend Michael's house, and it's hard to imagine now, but this world blew my mind back then. I had never played an MMORPG, so as a fantasy nerd, it was kind of freaking awesome. Unfortunately, I didn't have a PC at the time, so I couldn't play the game. Fast forward to 2021, and I still haven't really dived into an MMORPG or any game from that genre, but for some reason I was really feeling the itch, like an annoying insect crawling around the back of my mind, jabbing at me and mocking me. So I did a bit of research, saw that World of Warcraft, which I thought was the biggest MMORPG, was kind of exploding. I had no clue what a Final Fantasy was, and there was this cool Star Wars looking thing, but to be honest, it was all a bit disheartening because everything just seemed to want to take my money, and I was a little bit put off. But then I stumbled back onto old school RuneScape, so I finally took the dive, and here's how it went. I was birthed kicking and screaming into the world and plopped out on Tutorial Island, a young and fresh duckling ready for war and adventure. Tutorial Island is just like it sounds. I created my adventurer and got through the basics of surviving, mining, combat, and so on and so on. I must admit I was a little bit taken back by the very early 2000s graphics, but by the end of the opening I had warmed up to them a little bit, and by the end of my first session it was actually pretty charming. And charm is something this game does so well. The tutorial was very long, I must admit, and I probably would have not made it all the way through if it wasn't for the highlight of RuneScape as a game, and that is characters and dialogue. By the great duck gods of old, the NPCs in this game are bursting with character, witty dialogue, and conversation that made me laugh or took me back. It has been a very long time since I have seen a game with these qualities, particularly straight from the off. So I learnt my skills, meeting some cool characters along the way, before a wizard ripped the breath from my lungs, and with a whirl of arcane magic, I was teleported to Lumbridge, our first real starting point. Now at this point of the game, I was expecting the main story to kick off. I thought I could do that for a little bit, and then peel off to some side quests. Well, the game had other ideas. Lots of games nowadays claim to not hold your hand, and also claim that you have free will in decisions. But from my own experience, this tends to be a disguised lie. RuneScape guides you, but it really does not force you to do anything. I feel like I could play this game for hours without doing a single quest and still be happy. Want to go battle a load of goblins? You can do that. Murder an innocent lady in front of two priests in a church? You can do that. Float around and explore the realm without a care in the world? You can do that as well. I finally decided though to do my first quest. What would it be? Would I set out to kill 20 goblins for the local king? Set on a multi-quest civil war? Slay a dragon? None of those things. I would bake a cake. And it was pretty fun. Baking a cake sounds boring, but it forced me to explore the world, and it was scary. Baking is scary. I had to go out of my comfort village and waddle into the unknown. It took me a little while. The game certainly does nudge you in the right direction, but it really did force me to explore and learn for myself. Eventually, I collected the egg, flour and milk that were needed for the challenge, and that flour was a little bit tricky to obtain, but eventually I did indeed return successfully back to the chef as a success in my first adventure. After some more excellent dialogue, I was done with my first session of the game. I was over an hour in, I had a slightly less crappy sword than what I started with, and I had simply baked a cake. But I had actually really enjoyed it. The very British Monty Python-esque humour and dialogue was captivating, and though the gameplay was basic, it was never boring. Maybe the most exciting element of the game is that you are not the main character. You're no returning prince, chosen one, legendary warrior. You're simply a piece of the puzzle, and what shape of piece is simply up to you. At this point, I was supposed to stop and make this video, but that old bug was back tickling the back of my mind, tugging at my concentration, and I gave in. The next day, I hopped back in for an hour-long session, and it was incredible. I've already gushed about character, charm, and dialogue, but story is something I had yet not really experienced. Well, I spent an hour on my second quest, and it was fantastic, dripping in all the juicy RuneScape character that I had come to expect. I found a damsel in distress, finally a classic RPG trope and quest. Her friends were trapped on some island with a madman, and I was able to become the hero that was needed. Super expected, right, of a game like this. Well, the entire quest turning into a meta commentary on heroes in general was not expected, but certainly welcome. It took me an hour to solve this House of Horrors, and it was tough. This game gives zero sympathy for your plight as a new player, and I loved it, because it really did feel like I was achieving something by solving this puzzle. Now, admittedly, I could have gotten frustrated and struggled a little bit with my puny little duck brain, unfortunately not able to solve the puzzles, but there was so many funny moments, the overdramatic death scene, the ridiculous dialogue and subversion of expectations, which were all really top-notch Monty Python influence being worn on their sleeve there, that I was pretty pumped up every time I completed part of this quest, and it made me want to keep going. This is something a lot of games don't do for me anymore. I do a quest, it was easy, and I move on, but if I struggle at something, sometimes it's a bit off-putting, but with RuneScape, because it's actually a challenge almost all the time, when you do complete something, you feel really good and pumped up. So, that was my first look at old school RuneScape. It may look janky and dated, and maybe it is a little bit, but this game has so much soul, it doesn't really matter. As someone who doesn't have an infinite time to play video games, RuneScape is a game that you can just hop in and out of absolutely no problem. I was playing alone for my first 2-hour sessions there, which was super fun, but considering I've been making this video now for a couple of weeks, I have actually hopped in and played with friends, which likewise was an amazing and excellent experience. You can really play RuneScape however you want. Want to go do some quests and focus on leveling your skills? You can do that. Want to go explore? That is absolutely fine, and do it with friends or alone. Anything works for you. So that was my experience with old school RuneScape, and if you can't tell, it was a lot of fun. It certainly won't be for everyone. It's simple yet challenging, and for people who want to play an MMORPG without investing tons of money or an infinite time, it's a pretty damn great game, and I will certainly be looking to play it in the future. However, if you guys would like me to play other MMORPGs or other games in general and give my first impressions of them, please do leave them down below in the comments and I will hop in. I was really actually excited to play World of Warcraft, a game I think I played around a friend's house when I was in like year 6 or something, so I was a wee little duckling barely out of the egg. And it seemed like a load of good fun, but there's a load of controversy going around them at the moment, and apparently the game's gone really downhill. So if there is any MMORPGs you want me to check out, or if World of Warcraft is actually, still really top-notch, then yeah, feel free to let me know down below, and I can hop in and play those games. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was definitely something a little bit different and new to the channel compared to our usual Total War Warhammer content. But if you got this far in the video, I absolutely love you. You are awesome. Feel free to like and subscribe to the channel. Both these things help out massively, and commenting as well. But until next time, guys, peace, and as always, stay awesome.